I think it's no secret that I'm a huge fan of airtime. Doesn't matter what kind, from soft sustained floater all the way up to the most aggressive forms of airtime you can find. The latter is what I want to focus on in this video, the craziest yeet moments, as it were, on a roller coaster. I'm not talking about those decent strong moments of floater like you would find on Mako at SeaWorld Orlando or Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. These are the craziest moments where you are frantically reaching for that handlebar to hang on. Before we get to these crazy moments of airtime, please do me a favor by clicking on that like button, and if you are new to this channel, love roller coasters, please hit the subscribe button. First, let's knock off a few great moments that you can find right here at my home park, Kennywood. First up is Skyrocket. When it comes to airtime, many probably don't think of Skyrocket, but you would be missing out on one great spot of airtime. After completing the first half of the ride, the coaster comes to a trim break, slowing you down to an almost crawl. Well, the train then takes an immediate dive straight back down to a near vertical plunge. If you are riding in the back row, this airtime moment will test the will and strength of your lap bar, or better yet, your shins, as this roller coaster by Premier Rides has those pesky shin guards. Next, we have quite possibly the most famous moment of airtime in the park, and that would be the legendary double down on Jackrabbit. It doesn't really matter where you are seated, this sudden pop of airtime will have you reaching for that handlebar as you swear the train completely left the track and will most likely take an abrupt detour into the hillside. Thankfully, the upstops are at work, keeping you safely attached to the track. Finally, we come to the king of all airtime, well, at Kennywood anyways, Phantom's Revenge. This coaster has plenty of pops of airtime, but the most notable one has to be that quick pop of airtime as the train flies by the station. There are also a couple other great moments, like the surprise pop of airtime as you fly up through the Thunderbolt prior to wrapping around the turtles. Now let's journey to the Midwest and check out one of my favorite roller coasters. Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City is a mock extreme spinning roller coaster. This ride has lots of great elements, but there is one that truly stands out of the pack, in that it's very first thing that you do on the ride. Immediately after leaving the station, Time Traveler takes a vertical plunge 90 feet down the side of a hill. If you are riding in the very back, this moment will yeet you out of your seat. It's crazy because not only are you dropping vertically, but the car will be rotating, providing you a unique experience with every drop. I must say that when I first saw the complete layout for Pantheon, I thought that the best moment of airtime would be that weird-looking outer bank turn. Well, the surprise hit would be that speed hill located right on the swing launch portion of the ride. After the train stalls as you are traveling up the top hat, the ride rolls backward, hitting the LSMs, giving you a jolt of speed right into that airtime hill. You get launched out of your seat, only then to be launched again into the reversed vertical spike. Riders will get to experience this great yeet moment for the second time at full speed. Now you are traveling forward through the element right up into the top hat. If we travel down to Tennessee to Silver Dollar City's sister park, Dollywood has a fantastic wooden, or shall I say hybrid, roller coaster that goes by the name Lightning Rod. After flying through multiple great moments of airtime, Lightning Rod comes to the climactic, a quad down that's loaded full of insane ejector airtime. Each pop of airtime is stronger and more forceful than the last, making you wonder if those upstop wheels are really up for the task. Most of the time, I would say that the ride in the back row will get you the best airtime experience, but for Lightning Rod, head for the front row. Over on the East Coast, let's talk about what I would consider to be the most underrated roller coaster on my list today, Gale Force. Located at Playland's Castaway Cove, Gale Force is a multi-launching shuttle coaster from S&S. The coaster is very forceful and loaded with great airtime. The one moment in particular that sticks with me would have to be that top hat element. You get some serious airtime going over that top hat, but the airtime cranks up to insanity once you start diving back to Earth. What makes Gale Force even better than your typical Premier Ride Skyrocket 2 model? Gale Force will perform 2 full cycles with every ride. Hershey Park is the sweetest place on earth, well, according to the slogan anyways. With a park full of great roller coasters, we are bound to find one that has some insane airtime. Well, you might jump right over to Wildcats Revenge, their new hybrid roller coaster, and yes, it does have some great ejector airtime, but none of those moments will prepare you for what I call the scariest moment of airtime, the first drop on Skyrush. This hyper coaster by Intamin will pull you to the top of its 200-foot hill in a matter of seconds. Once you crest the top and start diving back down, those in the very back row will get yanked over and yeeted out of their seats. During one of my recent rides, I was keeping my hands up in the air until the coaster started pulling me over the drop and what felt like me getting yanked from my seat. Of course, the restraints will hold you in, but the way these restraints are designed on Skyrush, you feel a lot more exposed than you actually are. If there was an airtime moment that made me addicted to airtime, it would have to be the first drop on El Toro over at Six Flags Great Adventure. This wooden roller coaster features long, high-capacity trains, so if you are seated near the end of the train, well, the coaster starts rolling over that drop and immediately begins to accelerate. Those in the back are launched over that drop. To this day, I still consider this drop to be my favorite moment of airtime. Next on my list, let's go down to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. Velocicoaster took the Coasterverse by storm when it debuted back in 2021. The roller coaster features 2 launches, plenty of great theming, and excellent elements scattered throughout the layout. The most notable moment, one that everyone is talking about, would be the Mosasaurus roll, which is basically a barrel roll that stays low to the water. This, of course, is an excellent moment of thrills and airtime because it gives you upside airtime, but it's still not the craziest moment of airtime on this coaster. The top hat, an element that I thought would be similar to, say, Stormrunner at Hershey Park, turns into a yeet moment of epic proportions. If you are seated in the very back, which by now I hope you're seeing that the trend now is that the back row is clearly the best place to be, you will be yeeted out of your seat as you take that element on. Before my first ride, I was expecting some airtime on that top hat, but never did I expect it to launch me to the moon. So there is one manufacturer I haven't talked about as much in this video, that would be Rocky Mountain Construction, which is kind of crazy because they're basically known for airtime. Well, when it comes to these crazy yeet moments of airtime, the style of restraints plays a huge part in it. The restraints found on an RMC will include shin guards. They really keep you locked down into your seat. And of course, for good reason. Well, other manufacturers are coming up with better ways to design their seating and restraints. Most especially Intamin amusement rides. I love the new lap bar on Velocicoaster and Pantheon. With that said though, there is still plenty of great airtime moments, ejector airtime moments found on an RMC. Here at the end, I'm going to fly through 4 of my favorite RMCs and why I think they have the best airtime. Gale Force 1 at Fun Spot America has tons of great airtime, but I think the most notable part would be its finale quad down. Next, we have Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa. This is an aggressive roller coaster from first drop through breaks. It's hard to pinpoint a single moment of insane airtime because most of this ride is just ejector airtime. Oh, and the death roll, of course. Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion has been getting better and better with each new year of operation. In 2023, I thought Twisted Timbers was hauling, creating some of the most intense airtime found on any RMC. Finally, the king of airtime, Steel Vengeance, over at Cedar Point. The ride has over 25 seconds of airtime. Most of it is strong floater, but there are still a few moments of ejector. The most notable has to be that quick pop of airtime prior to the mid-course brake run, and we can't forget about those little bunny hills prior to the end of the ride. Overall though, these coasters are littered with airtime, but again, this video is about the yeet moments, those crazy moments of airtime, and I think it's the restraints that makes it hard for me to consider RMCs. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. Tell me about your favorite crazy airtime moments down in the comments. Until next time, this is Extreme Thrills.